Good morning. Just wanted to do a quick composting video for you guys, just to give you a pretty good visual. Today is the first day of summer. Whew, it is super hot. So wanted to get a quick video in for you guys. I know a lot of you did not get to attend my class, so wanted to do this quick video for you. So your compost is going to consist of 2 parts green and 1 part brown. So wanted to give you an example of green. So green would be like your fruit scraps, it can be vegetable scraps, or things maybe that have decomposed, like this tomato was decomposed in my garden. So I'm going to put this in my compost. I have some fruit scraps here as well, or they can be vegetable scraps, things that you might cook with. Okay, other examples of green that you can use are clippings from your garden. So clippings can be, plants that you clipped. So I have leaves here from my strawberry plants. I'm still growing strawberries, still can't believe that this late in season. I also have clippings from my roses. So I got some rose buds here that you can use. I've got some clippings from some house plants. These come from some of my tropicals. So when you trim your plants, you can use these too. You can also use weeds, as well. So that's another example of green. So in your compost, you want 2 parts green and 1 part brown. So the brown is going to be leaves. So we've got leaves here, and then we've got sticks also. You can also use cardboard for brown. You can also use paper for brown, okay? And you basically combine it, your compost. As you can see, I have both brown and green in this compost. So you can also put eggshells in your compost if you'd like. So I do have a few little eggshells in there, not a whole bunch. What you don't want to put in there are your coffee grounds. Coffee grounds will stunt the growth of other plants. You only want to use coffee grounds for acid-loving plants like blueberries or azaleas, okay? So you would take topsoil and get this going, and then you would just basically turn it. Okay, so you mix this stuff, mix it up, turn it, and you cover your vegetable pieces, your scraps. But then when you mix it up, at the very bottom, once it starts breaking down, this is what you get, you guys. You get rich compost. And this is what you want to spread on your plants. Okay, this is the rich stuff that you want to put in your garden. So this is it. Okay, now you'll have stuff growing out your garden, growing out your compost. So right here I've got bush beans growing out my compost, and I've got potatoes growing out my compost. So what you can do is you can pull these plants and you can move them. So if you want to move these plants to your garden, you can. And what you'll notice as well with your compost, it's not supposed to stink, okay? And that's why you want to do 2 parts green, 1 part brown. If it gets too wet and it stinks, just add more brown, okay? If it gets too dry, add more of your green, okay? And you want to balance the green and the brown, because your compost has to have a balance of both carbon and nitrogen. So very, very important. So a lot of times, for instance, if you have plants that are very big, so let's say you have a tomato plant that's really huge, but you don't have any tomatoes on it, that's an indication that you have too much nitrogen. Okay, you need more carbon. Or let's say you have a plant that's very dry and bugs are eating it. Bugs are just tearing it up. That means you have too much carbon and not enough nitrogen. Okay, so these are examples of plants that have balanced nitrogen and carbon. Your stuff will thrive. It'll be healthy. You'll have blooms. You'll have fruit. So as you compost, what you'll notice is you'll be productive in your garden. Okay, so this is a garden, just small little section of my garden. We've got some tomatillas here. We've got some tomatoes that are coming in. We've got some nice blooms here. So this is an example. This is some basil. This is an example of what your garden should look like when you compost. Got some blackberry here. When you compost and your carbon and your nitrogen is balanced, okay? And you'll see my tomato plants aren't just outrageously big on this section of my garden, but they're productive. You see, they're fruiting. And that's because I have that balance. And that's because I'm composting, okay? And you'll notice there's not a lot of bugs. There's not a lot of things that are getting ate up over here. Why? Because my soil is healthy, okay? So compost, 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 you guys. So this is just a quick video to give you an example of what your garden is going to look like once you get that soil correct, okay? And that's why it's important for you to compost, okay? Happy gardening.